Hey everybody, this is Holly, your everyday life coach. We are on episode 25, Finding Inner Peace. I first want to say, thank you for coming back. I took the summer off to spend time with my daughter, and I did find some peace, and it was so enjoyable. But, now that school is back and kind of things are in full force, I feel like sometimes we lose that inner peace. There's a lot of things going on. We're running around. And what we do is we don't take time to center ourselves. And I'm not saying that this episode, you're going to step out of it and be 100% peace like a Zen Buddhist. What I am saying is this episode is going to help you find more moments of inner peace. And think about the people that have that inner peace. Like, I can just tell when I'm walking around or talking with friends and family, when they have that inner peace, they look lighter, they are smiling, and it's because they are focusing on their own internal rhythm. You're like, what are you talking about, girl? I'm talking about our rhythm, right? When we were in our mother's rooms, we were really only listening to her heartbeat. Like, go-go, go-go. And then when we came out, there are these machines, right, that in order to calm us, they have a heartbeat. And even some of the machines that you might have, those sound machines, one of them is a heartbeat. And that is like the most primal rhythm. Our heartbeat, our mother's heartbeat. It soothes us. It calms us. And it's because we really like to listen and we focus. And with that in mind, think about the rhythm of your life. Is it beating 1,000,000 times a minute where you're like, I can't catch my breath? Or is it slow and focused? And so when we're talking about finding inner peace, let's think about the rhythm of your life and the way to get it back to a slow and steady pace. I have 10 ways that I've put together. The first one is, and I've said this so many times, is pray or meditate. I don't know if you're a believer, but praying to a higher power does help find peace. Another way is to meditate. And I often think of prayer as meditation too. But it's really, again, focusing on the rhythm of your body and of your breath and letting go of your surroundings. The same can be said with prayer. I talk about meditation in episode 2. I would recommend going back to that. But this is something that you can do in your everyday life, either of these, multiple times a day. No one needs to know. It can be for, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, a half an hour. It's just taking time, planning that time. Oh, this one is hard. Okay. I'm going to say my own finding inner peace journey. The next one I have is a hard one. Surrender and accept what is, right? We just need to all just say it is what it is, and there is nothing we can do about it. When we do not accept things for what they are, we just let it linger in our heads. We are all guilty of this, right? And if we just let it go, let it go. I mean, if we just accept things for what they are, or that person or whoever, well, you know what? She is who she is. and the situation, I can't change it, so I just need to let it go. Think about, again, the rhythm and the peace that you might find with letting go of things like that. One that I have, and this kind of goes on the fringe of gratitude, is to think about, saying to yourself when you're kind of in that uneasy moment, is like, it could be worse, right? It's not as bad as you think. I do this a lot with myself. I do this with my daughter. When you find yourself like, oh my gosh, I am not having a peaceful moment. When you just think about your life and the moment itself and the things that are happening, you're like, oh wow, like it could be so much worse. I could be, I don't know, dealing with cancer, dealing with not being able to pay my bills, dealing with this, that, or the other. Like, just putting that out there and, just having that mindset will help. No one is looking for perfect, right? Oh, this is one that I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I used to walk through life feeling that my life and not only my life, but myself, we needed to be perfect in every single way. But news alert, like no one is looking perfect. So like, again, let it go. And it's so freeing when you're like, holy crap, my house doesn't need to be perfect. My life doesn't need to be perfect. My kids' clothes, they don't need to be perfect. This work that I'm needing to do doesn't need to be perfect. We all have flaws and we need to accept them and not try to be perfect. Ooh, too much energy on that. Another one that I have, number 6, is about, the idea of being still and quiet every single day and having like a practice where it's, you're focusing, you're scheduling time to be still and quiet every day. It really allows you to kind of break from the noise and, again, kind of focus on the rhythm. When we think about the heartbeat, right? And when we're kids, we're like screaming, when we're babies, and someone puts that sound, and all of a sudden it soothes us. So, what I would say to you is to, find that still and quiet moment, schedule time for this. I talk about this in episode 10. Another idea that I would share with you about finding inner peace is unplugging. This is so important. The phone, right? When you think about our phones, like old school, old school could mean a lot of things. I'm going to be 45 next week. So old school for me is the rotary phone. And the rotary phone purpose was to just speak to someone, right? Just to catch up. And when you were done with catching up, you would hang up the phone and go about your merry business with your life. And that phone was only at your house. It wasn't, or at your work. It wasn't on you 24/7. And you didn't miss anything. Life still went on and you were focused on yourself and, focusing on your loved ones. And so unplugging is just so essential to kind of finding that inner peace. I know so many of us have FOMO where we feel like we're going to miss out. But what's happening is we're focusing on the wrong things. We're focusing on our news feed. We're focusing on likes, comments, reposts. And we're avoiding our own rhythm. because we're so mired down in all that nonsense. So my suggestion to you is to unplug. Go to episode 4. I give you tips with that. Or, I have a whole digital detox program that I do. It's just so important. I can't emphasize this one enough. The 8th one that I have is to forgive yourself, right? I feel like so many of us, even when we make a small mistake, we hold it against ourselves. We hold it over our head. We make a mistake, as a parent, and we just kind of hold it over our head. We'll never be the same. Our child will be ruined. Okay, melodramatic. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. You need to forgive yourself. Let it go, right? And even tell yourself out loud, it's okay that you did this. I forgive you. Look at yourself in the mirror, and I want you to forgive yourself. Holly, it's okay. I forgive you. Let me know how that feels. I really think this is so important to kind of finding that inner peace. The 9th one that I have is kind of detaching yourself from things that aren't worth it. And I sigh with this one. I mean, the biggest thing that I see here is with Facebook or Twitter, and we're getting all worked up, right? Or at work, in a work setting. We are in the thick of it. We are in the thick. We are putting our opinion. We're getting all wildin'. But guess what? Yo, these things aren't even worth it. Why are you having to argue? Why are you having an argument on Facebook or Twitter? Is this really worth it? At the end of the day, when you're done, when you close your phone, computer, and you're all amped up, was that stupid thing worth it? No. Lord, detach yourself from things that aren't worth it. And you know how you do that? You just ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this really worth it? If you find yourself getting nutty on Facebook or on Twitter or at work, getting in the thick of something that's going on. I want you to ask yourself, is this worth it? And you are going to say no. You are going to say no, I promise you. And you're going to step back and walk away. And this is really cultivating this, right? We have to stay vigilant with this because we can get lost in that mess. So the next many times, I want you to say to yourself, is this worth it? Is this nonsense worth it? The last one, and I'm guilty of this, is stop saying I'm sorry. I don't know if you're one of these people, but you just say sorry to everything, right? You feel guilty for every, oh, I'm so sorry. You could feel guilty for the smallest thing, but you could feel guilty for 20 or 30 smallest things in one day. You were just constantly saying, I'm sorry. And it goes back to forgiveness. You don't have to keep saying, I'm sorry. You're dealing with guilt that doesn't even need to exist. And that guilt is just kind of adding to your heart, is adding to your psyche. And it's just guilt that doesn't need to be there. And so these are the 10 things. And really, when you think about them all, it is letting go, right? If I were to think about all 10, it really is about letting go, staying simple, right? Keeping things simple, not getting caught up in so much, quote, stuff, and just trusting, believing, and loving yourself. I hope you enjoyed episode 25, Finding Inner Peace. Please let me know, how do you find peace of mind? Share with me your tricks and tactics that help you kind of to create that peace of mind. I am Holly Teagarden, and this is your Everyday Life Coach.